Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Harom students. Students, in our previous two sessions, we discussed about what is federalism, what are the main features of federalism, how different countries followed federalism in their own areas. And we discussed what about our India. Even in India, we are following unitary form of government with federal principles. So it is not an easy task to deal with a huge population with different religions, different regions and different culture, language people in our country. For this purpose, how our government managing, how our government planned to deal with different diverse people and communities. In today's class, I am going to discuss with you how is federalism practiced in our country. So what is meant by linguistic state? What are the main language policies followed in our country? And what about center and state relations in our India? And linguistic diversity in India and scheduled languages of India. Today I am going to discuss with you children. How is federalism practiced? Constitutional provisions are necessary for the success of federalism, but these are not sufficient. If the federal experiment has succeeded in India, it is not merely because of the clearly laid out constitutional provisions. Children, look at the textbook carefully. So, constitutional provisions are necessary for the success of federalism. But these are not sufficient. Means, so whatever the provisions which are mentioned in our constitution, still we are following the same principles and ideas with little modifications. But in this present situation, these principles not only sufficient, but even though we are succeeded in India, a federal type of government, so that is clearly because of constitution provisions and also the adaptation of the modern principles. The real success of federalism in India can be attributed to the nature of democratic politics in our country. So, we adopted federalism with the nature of democratic politics. So, what is meant by democratic politics? It is a democratic form of government where the people representatives form the government. So, we participated in elections. So, we choose our leaders. Our leaders form the government, democratic form of government. At the same time, our democratic political leaders must have to follow the constitution principles. It is very mandatory to the success of the democratic government. As a democracy we succeeded, as well as a federal government also we succeeded, because in our country the powers distributed between different levels of governments as well as different organs of the government, as we discussed in our previous class. And this ensured that the spirit of federalism, respect for diversity and desire for living together became shared ideals in our country. So once again children, see the book. This ensured the spirit of federalism. Spirit of federalism means sharing powers. Respect for diversity. So we are giving this equal priority, equal respect to all religions, to all cultures, and to all regions, and there is no any partiality here. Our central government treated all people equally so that we respect our diverse people and desire for living together. We have a strong desire that our Union India, it is our country, our nation. This entire natural resources belongs to entire nation's people, and there is no place to separate from the state or from the nation. So all states together, all people together have a strong desire to be in our country as a citizen of India. Now, let us look at some of the major ways in which this happened. So, what are the main things helps our country to be as a one nation, that is our India. So, here if you look at the flow chart here, our government is union government and our state government is under the control of union government and our local governments under the state government. So again local governments are divided into two parts. That the first principle of our federalism is linguistic states. The creation of linguistic states was the first and a major test for democratic politics in our country. What is meant by linguistic states? A state which is formed on the basis of their regional language. If we see what is our regional language of Andhra Pradesh? Telugu. And what is the regional language of Tamil Nadu? Tamil. Karnataka as Kannada, and Kerala, Malayalam. And if you see, many states of our country are adopted their own languages. So that on the basis of the regional languages, some states are formed in our country. So this is what we call as a linguistic states. That is the first policy of federalism. And if you look at the political map of India, when it began its journey as a democracy in 1947 and that of 2017, you will be surprised by the extent of the changes. Many old states have vanished and many new states have been created. Areas, boundaries and names have been changed. So, at 1947, there is no Andhra Pradesh state and there is no Sikkim and there is no Goa. So, only limited states are there at the time of partition of India in 1947. So, after that, because of these regional feelings, because of the different languages, so it is mandatory to divide our nation as a different states, mainly based on the languages. Some states are divided based on the culture and physical features of their states. So whatever, but the map of India fully differ from 1947 to 2020. And if you see here, some states have created not on the basis of language, recognize differences based on their culture, ethnically or geography. These include states, for example, Nagaland and Uttarakhand and then Jharkhand. These three are examples which are divided on the basis of their culture and their geographical features. When the demand for new states, when the formation of states on the basis of language was raised, some national leaders feared that it would lead to the disintegration of the country. So, most probably, almost all. So, whenever no, people raise their voice for separate state for them, our people, our intellectuals, they thought that so it causes to disintegration of the country because many years so we work together, we live together, we share together. So when the people raise their voice against the new formation of their own state, automatically it created fear in minds of the political leaders. Obviously, because they thought it causes to partition of the nation. So at the time of India partition, so our state divided into Islam state and Hindu state. So in the same way the people thought, but fortunately there is no partition in our country. It never causes to new formation of new country. The central government resisted linguistic states for some time. So because of that notion, our central government resisted to give linguistic states. But the experience has shown that the formation of linguistic state has actually made the country more united. It has also made administration easier. Means, so here they realized that the new formation of the state made easy our administration. So different states, they are giving their own priorities for their state regional people. So that there is no more choices to them. There is no chance for deviation. If we talk in one word, be united together under the federalism based on the linguistic states. Different language people are here. Different states are formed based on the languages, but even though we are united as an Indian, there is no more deviations here. See the map, children, here. So these are present our 28 states along with 9 union territories. So this map belongs to 2020. And in our previous session, we discussed about the map of 1947. How India looks like in 1947. How India looks like in 2020. If you see here, many union territories are there, many states are there, all are under the control of the central government. Our central government working from Delhi, capital city of nation. So and different states, they have their own capitals, different people, chief ministers and their assemblies, means government in one word. So they work for the development of their own region. They work for providing facilities their own people with the help of the central government. So that because of this flexibility in administration causes to success of democracy and federalism in our nation. A brief explanation about India. Before independence, India was divided into 565 princely states. Princely states. You know what is meant by princely states? What is meant by princely states? So princely states are nothing but under one person rule, either king or queen. So some are under the control of the British Raj. So these 565 princely states joined with one nation, that is union. Before independence, India is not a country. It is a union of princely states before independence. So these are 565 states. These indigenous princely states believed in independent governance, which was the biggest obstacle in building strong India. At this time, India had three types of states. One is territories of British India, second one is princely states, and the third one is colonial territories of France and Portugal. Present, these France and Portugal territories act as union territories of India, not included in any state, directly under the control of the central government. Now, see here, a big problem in front of Indian administration. How to deal with 565 princely states after the formation of new state government or new country. So there is a big challenge in front of the government. How to deal with all these territories and regions. So after that, there is no problem almost all, because of our Indian constitution makers. They made different guidelines for entire nation's people, and these 565 princely states and 17 provinces before partition formed as 14 states and 6 union territories following the recognition of states in 1956 to now 29 states and 7 union territories in 2014. Now, after the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir, now it is only 28 states and 9 union territories in our country present. So if we observe, so India is not a nation before 1947. It is a union, princely states union. So after that, 1947, all these territories joined with our nation and we formed a big nation with 14 states and 6 union territories. So after that, due to the linguistic states, different region people, different language people, they demanded for their own state, and now it comes to 28 states and 9 union territories. Listen carefully here. First one, Jammu and Kashmir. It was formed in 1948. Jammu and Kashmir also one of the princely state. The king of the state signed the instrument of accession to India and became part of Indian Union. In 1956, officially, Jammu and Kashmir completed the process of merging with the Indian Union. In 1948 and 1956 it was completed. And the second state, it is Uttar Pradesh. So this state is as popular as the land of the powerful empire. You know about Mughals and different monuments constructed by Mughals, and it is located in northern plains, and it is very fertile, and it was a revenue hub to entire nation. So this popular land becoming Uttar Pradesh in 1950, it was known as the United Provinces, which was united by adding Oudh and Agra regions. With this entire regions, it is announced as Uttar Pradesh. Next one, Bihar. Bihar, the state was formed in English on 22nd March 1912, but it got full statehood on 26 January 1950. So what is the importance of 1950 January 26? So the implementation of our Indian Constitution. So on this day onwards, officially this announced as one of the part state of the India, Bihar in 1950. 1950, and it was further bifurcated in 2000 and divided new state as a Jharkhand in 2000. Jharkhand formed in 2000. Next, Assam. So Assam also 1950. So these all are the earlier princely states, and whenever new constitution adopted in our country, so on that day onwards officially these are announced as Indian states. So it was separated from Bengal in 1874. In 1912 it was reformed as Assam provinces and under British rule. Greater Assam included Meghalaya, Nagaland and Mizoram. So it get full statehood on 26 January 1950. Next one, Odisha, also 1950. Odisha was made a separate province on April 1936 by the British, and 1950 became a state. It was renamed Odisha in 2011. Earlier we called as Orissa. Now it is Odisha from 2011. So it was also formed, announced as official state from 1950 onwards. Next one, Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu, erstwhile the Madras Presidency. So Madras state was recognized as a state in 1950 and renamed as Tamil Nadu in 1969. Earlier it is Madras state. From 1969 onwards, based on their language, it is Tamil Nadu. Next one, our Andhra Pradesh from 1953. So at the time of before 1953, our Andhra Pradesh, Andhra state is a part of Madras Presidency. So we are our Telugu people also united with Tamil people in Madras state, Madras province. So from due to some Andhra Pradesh Telugu language people efforts and our Sri Potti Sriramulu Garu sacrifice causes to new state formation for Telugu language people in 1953, and it was given statehood on 1st November 1956. Before becoming a separate state, it was a part of the state of Madras. So from Andhra Pradesh was separated to form Telangana on June 2014. Here Telangana formation day, June 2014 2nd. Next one is Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh from 1956. So it came into existence in 1956. This state is famous for diamond mining in Panna district. It was further bifurcated in 2000. Chhattisgarh became a new state. If you see, so we discussed about different states here: Nagaland, Mizoram, Jharkhand from Odisha, and here Telangana from Andhra Pradesh. Now Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh from Madhya Pradesh in 2000. Next one, Kerala. So Kerala, former states of Travancore, Cochin and Malabar were merged together to form the state of Kerala in 1956. It got full statehood from November 1st, 1956, like our Andhra Pradesh. So Kerala state also formed in the year 1956. Next one, Karnataka also same. 1956, it was formed as a Mysore state on November 1956. Mysore state was created by bringing together all Kannada speaking regions. Bringing together all Kannada speaking regions in 1956. The state was renamed as Karnataka in 1973. Early stage it is called as Mysore state in the year 1956, and from 1973 onwards it was renamed as Karnataka. Next one, Maharashtra. Maharashtra from 1960. So Maharashtra and Gujarat was the part of the state of the Bombay province. 14 provinces I said earlier. So among that, Bombay province also one of the part. So this Bombay province is divided into two states. What are they? Maharashtra and Gujarat. So on 1st May 1960, the states of Maharashtra and Gujarat were formed as independent states. Next one, Gujarat 1960. This state was famous for this Asiatic land. It was a part of Bombay Presidency in British India, but on 1st May 1960, Gujarat was separated and formed as an independent state of India. Next one, Nagaland in 1963. This state was formed on December 1963. It is separated from Assam. It was separated from Assam. Next one, Punjab. So, Punjab 1966. So, this state was created after the merger of Patiala Princely State. So, Princely State here, Patiala Princely 6. With 8 other similar states in 1966, Haryana was separated as an independent state from this merger. Chandigarh is the joint capital of Punjab and Haryana. Here, Punjab formed in 1966 from the Patiala Princely state with other 8 small similar states. But in 1966, Haryana was separated from Punjab and merged as a new state, but the common capital for Punjab and Haryana is Chandigarh. Next one, Himachal Pradesh. Himachal Pradesh, it was formed in 1971. So Himachal Pradesh was created with the merger of 30 princely states in 1950. How many? 30 princely states emerged as one Himachal Pradesh. And in 1956 was declared a union territory. Himachal Pradesh got full statehood in 25th January 1971. So finally 1971 officially Himachal Pradesh was formed. Next one, Manipur. So Manipur it was formed in 1972 and it became independence along with India in 1947. In 1956 it became an union territory and got full statehood on 21st January 1972. Famous boxer Mary Kom hails from this state only. What is the one? Manipur. It was formed in 1972. Next one, Meghalaya. So Meghalaya was formed as an autonomous state with Assam in 1970. It became a separate state in 21st January 1972. Next one, same 1972, Tripura also. So Tripura is surrounded by Bangladesh on 3 sides and Tripura remained a union territory until 1972 and when it became an independent state. Up to 1972 it was a union territory. In 1972 it merged with India. Next one, Sikkim. Sikkim in 1975. Sikkim is a landlocked state, is the second smallest state of India, is popularly known as Organic State of India. Sikkim was merged with the Indian Union on 16th May 1975. Next one, Goa in 1987. Even after the Indian independence, this state was under the rule as Portuguese colony. With liberated by the Indian Army in 1961, made an union territory along with Daman and Diu. So the state of Goa was formed on 13 May 1987. Next one, Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh in 1972 it became a union territory, but in 1987 it became an independent state of India with Itanagar as its capital. Next one, Mizoram in 1987 and Chhattisgarh in 2000, Jharkhand in 2000, Uttarakhand in 2000. And this popular registration continued to 3 to 4 days and disrupting normal life. In finally 1952, 19 December, the Prime Minister of the country, Jawaharlal Nehru, made an announcement about formation of the separate state for the Telugu-speaking people of Madras state. The central government appointed K. Vanchu, Chief Justice of the Rajasthan High Court, took into issues related to formation of Andhra state. Parliament passed an Andhra State Act in September 1953. So how whenever the Telangana people they started demand for new for Telangana state, even Sri Krishna committee sent to our Andhra Pradesh and they listed out different suggestions and the problems whatever present in Telangana state, how to develop Telangana state, everything. So with the report of the Sri Krishna committee, so our present at that time Congress, Indian National Congress, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi announced separate nation state for Telangana people. So whatever on 1st October 1953, 11 districts in Telugu speaking portion of Madras states, present 11 states of Rayalaseema and coastal Andhra together formed as Andhra state with Kurnool as the capital. Sri Tangtur Prakasam Pantul Garu, who is known as Andhra Keshari, the Lion of Andhra, became the first Chief Minister of the new Andhra state. Formation of this first linguistic state paved the way to creation of more and provided an opportunity for these states to develop independently, linguistically and economically, each of them having to state to support. So the children, so the individual state based on the language, it is a big task to the central government, but at the same time the individual states also developed when we compare to the previous things. See here our Potti Sri Ramulu Garu. So he was born on 16th March 1901 and he was died on 19th December 1952. Was an Indian revolutionary. So he also named with Amarjeevi, yeah, because he sacrificed his life for the cause of Andhra state. So this is brief information about Andhra state and the Telangana formation. Next, the second principle of federalism is language policy. Language. So a second test for the Indian Federation is the language policy. What is the first test? Linguistic state. What is the second one? Language policy. Our constitution did not give the status of national language to any one language. Hindi was identified as the official language, but Hindi is the mother tongue of only 40% of the Indians. Therefore, there were many safeguards to protect other languages besides Hindi. There are 21 other languages identified or recognized as scheduled languages by the Indian Constitution. So, how many scheduled languages are there present? 22 official languages are there identified by our Indian Constitution. So, among them, so Hindi identified as national language of the country. So most of 40% of the Indians mother tongue is Hindi, so that it is adopted as a national language. A candidate in an examination conducted for the central government positions may opt to take the examination in any of these languages. So most probably your 10th class exam question paper also you are getting in two languages. One is our national language, it is our Hindi, another one universal language English. So two languages. So in local, because it is a CBSE curriculum. So in state board schools you are getting in your regional language as well as our universal language English. States to have their own official language. What is the official language for Andhra Pradesh? Telugu. And much of the other government work takes place in the official language of the concerned state. So each and every state, they have their own regional and official languages. All the governance, GOs, bills, everything they printed with the regional language only. So unlike Sri Lanka, the leaders of our country adopted very cautious attitude in spreading the use of Hindi. According to the constitution, the use of English of official purpose was stopped in 1965. Until 1965, we are using English only for our governance or administration purpose, but they stopped in 1965 and they adopted Hindi as their national language. But most of the southern states of India, like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh or Karnataka, we don't know Hindi, so that these all the states demanded for one language, universal language, because almost all of them know the English, but only few of them to know how read and write and to understand our national language of Hindi. So that with that demand again, so English they made as a universal language, and all administration by central government will publish only in English language, and Hindi also for the official purposes. So many critics think that this solution favored the English speaking elite. Promotion of Hindi continues to be the official policy of the government of India. Promotion does not mean that the central government promoted English. No, only for the convenience of our governance, easy governance, our government now using two languages for their official governance letters. So one is Hindi and the one is English. Linguistic diversity of India. How many languages do we have in India? The answer depends on how one counts it. The latest information that we have is from Census of India held in 2011. The census recorded more than 1300 distinct languages which people mentioned as their mother tongue in India. So, not officially, in our diverse people, in our country, diverse people are using diverse languages. So that including tribals, union territory people, other foreigners, other religious people, altogether 1300 distinct languages used in our country by our people. So these languages were grouped together under some major languages. For example, you see Bhojpuri, Magadhi and Bundelkhandi and Chhattisgarhi, Rajasthani, and many were grouped together under the Hindi. And even after this grouping, the census found 121 major languages. Of these 22 languages are now included in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution and are therefore called as scheduled languages. So if we segregate these languages under the groups also, we are getting 121 major languages in our country. Among them, 22 languages are identified as scheduled languages of India, and they mentioned in our 8th schedule of Indian Constitution. In terms of language, India is perhaps the most diverse country in the world, so which are using maximum languages in our nation. And a look at the enclosed table makes it clear that no one language is mother tongue of the majority of the people. The largest language is Hindi, is the mother tongue, is of only about 40% Indians. If we add to that, all those who knew Hindi as their second or third language, the total number was still less than 50% in 2011. So those who knows to read and write, if we added those people also, it will come to only 50% according to 2011 census. As for English, only 0.02% of Indians recorded it as their mother tongue, but most of the Indians are using English. Another 11% knowledge as second language or third language, English. So now here I am going to show you one table based on the languages. Look this table carefully, ma'am. So based on this table information, you have to do two activities here. First one is make a bar or pie chart on the basis of the information. And the second one, prepare a map of linguistic diversity of India by shading the region where each of these languages is spoken on the map of India. So you have to color the map first, and the one more is draw the pie chart. See here, ma'am. These are the 22 official or scheduled languages of India. First one is Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, Telugu, Tamil, Gujarati, Urdu, Kannada, Odia, Malayalam, Punjabi, Assami and Maithili, Santali, Kashmiri, Nepali, Sindhi, Dogri and Konkani language, Manipuri, Bodo and Sanskrit. These are the 22 scheduled languages of India. Based on this table is prepared in descending. So first place goes to Hindi. 43.63% people according to 2011 census are using Hindi. And next place goes to Bengali 8%, Marathi 6%. Our Telugu takes place fourth position with 6.70% of the people in our country using Telugu. So after that fifth place with Tamil, next Gujarati and Urdu with 4.19 nations people are using Urdu. So these are the main 22 scheduled languages of. So as I discussed, according to the 2001, India has 122 major languages and 1599 other languages. However, figures from other sources vary, and primarily due to differences in definition of the terms language and dialect, the 2001 census recorded 30 languages were spoken by more people, more than a million native speakers, and 122 which were spoken by more than 10,000 people. So based on this criteria, they divide the languages groups. Major 122 languages are used by more than 10,000 people. So that after that Persian, English, and Persian was the court language during the Mughal period in India and reigned as an administrative language of several countries until the era of British colonization. So when British occupied all these nations, in place of Persian language, they use English continues as the important language of India. And most of the our higher education also we are continuing in the medium of English only. Some people they adopted Hindi medium also, most of the northern states of India. Next one, center and state relations. What is the third problem? Means center and state relations. Restricting the center-state relation is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. How the constitutional arrangements for sharing power work in reality depends to a large extent on how the ruling parties and leaders follow these arrangements. For a long time, the same party ruled both at the center and state. This means that the state governments did not exercise their rights as autonomous federal units. Means, so for example, earlier when Congress ruling our nation, so in central government also Congress party and in state governments also Congress party in the period of 2004 2009. so that when the two same political parties are ruling in the state government as well as in the central government, there is no autonomous powers to state government chief ministers, because as they belongs to the same political party, they need to obey the political party leader in central level. So they have to implement rules and regulations or guidelines, rule the administration also as the norms or as the guidelines of the political party leader of the central level. So these are some problems when the state same political party ruled the state as well as in the central government. Next one, the parties that ruled of the center tried to undermine the power of the states in these days. In those days, the central government would often misuse the constitution to dismiss the state governments that were controlled by rival parties. This undermined the spirit of federalism. And one more point here. So if any state government, they made decisions against to the central government, at that time the central governments are trying to reduce the powers of the state governments, means providing their budgets or providing different schemes to the governments. So in this way the whatever the things or facilities schemes followed by the state government, in these ways they have some problem with the central government for the rival state governments. So in this way this is against to the federalism principles. Sometimes it may happens. Next one, all this changed significantly after 1990. This period saw the rise of regional political parties in many states of the country. So up to 1990, even in our Andhra Pradesh Telugu Desam Party established in 1982 by Nandamuri Taraka Ramarao as a regional party of Telugu state people to protect the rights of the Telugu people. So before that, before 1960s, 70s or 90s, only few regional political parties are available. When these new regional political parties occurs, automatically it causes to the coalition governments. Means there is no clear majority to the central government to form the government. Since no single party get clear majority of the Lok Sabha, the major national parties had to enter into alliance with many policies, including several regional parties, to form a government of the center. For example, in 2014 elections, BJP government alliance with our Telugu Desam Party government. If they didn't got the clear majority to form the government in Lok Sabha, so automatically they will take the help of the regional state governments Lok Sabha members. So that with that alliance causes to coalition government only if the central political parties not getting clear majority. So this led to a new culture of power sharing. Respect for the autonomy of state government, this trend was supported by a major judgment of the Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government to dismiss the state governments in arbitrary manner. Thus, federal power sharing is more effective today. So earlier, there is no regional political parties in both center and in state, same political party ruling, so that automatically the same political party members have to obey the rules of the political party leader. So with the emergence of these regional political parties, it reduces the powers of the central government and it given more priority, more equal power sharing to the state governments as well. Here is the example for if the state government and in central government, if the same political party ruling. So here you just imagine the person, Mrs. Indira Gandhi belongs to Congress political party. This is our textbook cartoon only. Look at the textbook carefully. And here powers distributed by the central government to the state government. So here these members are our state government chief minister. They are asking, they are form a line and they are asking their powers, means they are begging our central government to give more powers. They need to please the central government to give powers. Where, in which type of government? Where the single political party ruled in both central government as well as in state governments. So this is the example for that. And this is an coalition example for coalition government. So this is coalition government fire. So coalition government, different political parties included to form the government in central level. See here, this cartoon is belongs to BJP political party, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And here if you see, different political party leaders are there. He belongs to BJP and other political party leaders also is there here, like here Telugudesam party and here BSP and some other regional political party leaders all together. They form a chair of Prime Minister were in central level. So if you see here, this cartoon is really explain the dangers of or instability of coalition government. See, beside to them fire is there. So these all are looking like a crackers, atom bombs. So if any political party member of the regional political party leader is not satisfied with the central government, automatically they will remove their support to the central government. Then automatically there is no strength to form the central government. So in this type of government, local regional political party leaders, they gain more powers. If the Prime Minister are not satisfied the desires of the local regional government leader, political party leaders, automatically there is no chance to form the government. See, here are two cartoons showing the relationship between the center and state. Should the state go to the center with a begging bowl, how can the leader of the coalition keep the partners of the government satisfied? If these all regional political parties satisfied, then only coalition government stands for 5 years of period. So here in this coalition government there are many advantages as well as disadvantages also is. Read the following excerpts from an article by noted historian Ramachandra Guha that appeared in the Times of India on November 1st, 2006. Look here children, the report of the States Reorganization Commission SRC was implemented exactly 50 years ago, November 1st, 1956. This in its own time and own way has also transformed the political and institutional life of the nation. Gandhi and other leaders promised their followers that when freedom came, the new nation would be based on a new set of provinces based on the principle of language. However, when India was finally freed in 1947, it was also divided. So, according to the SRC, States Reorganization Commission, it was formed in 1956, November 1st. So, Mahatma Gandhi promised before independence to the people, when we got independence in 1947, we will give you your own regional language states. But what happened after that? Partition was the consequence of a primordial attachment of one's fate, how many more partitions would that other primordial loyalty language lead? So ran the thinking of this Nehru, Patel and Rajaji. So, partition was the consequence of primordial attachment of one's faith and loyalty, language lead to. So that again the people are thinking, our Nehru and Patelji and Rajaji thinking about the partition based on the languages. So from borders, they segregate the borders from here to there. So how many kilometer area people are using Telugu language or Kannada language or Malayali language. Based on that, they divided the state. How far it is successful, how far it is correct, that is the question in front of our political leaders at that time. Far from undermining Indian unity, linguistic states have helped strengthen it. So all are have the fear of. So if we given regional language states, so it causes to disunity of the nation. But fortunately, it causes to strengthen more our nation's unity, and it is also very helpful to the people's unity and their local needs. And Tamil and Indian, Gujarati and Indian. So here Kannadiga and Indian, and Bengalian and Indian, Tamil and Indian, Telugu and Indian. State based on language sometimes quarrel with one another. So to be sure, these states based on the language sometimes quarrel with each other because all are Telugu people or Tamil people or Kannada people, all are Indians only. We all are enjoying our roots of the national resources and income. So there is no controversies, but while sharing these natural resources, a small disputes are there between states as well as with the central governments. Next, children. So final summary. So in this session, what we discussed about, once again I will summarize here. So India is a federal state, but not once in the constitution is the word federation ever mentioned, as I discussed, but we are following federal principles. Instead, what is said is that India is a union of states. Actually, many historians believe that India is a quasi-federal country. It means it is a federal state with some features of unitary government. Is it right? Yes. India is a unitary government with the federal principles, what we call as a quasi-federal government. What we call as a quasi-federal government, unitary government with federal principles. The Constitution of India has essentially prescribed a federal state of government. As you already know, we have several levels of government. The government at the center, which is the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Then the various state governments, the Vidhan Sabha and the Vidhan Parishad, and finally we have the municipal corporations and the panchayats, which are the forms of the local governance. These all together we call as a federal state. So finally, India is a unitary form of government with federal principles. Children, Hari Om. In our next session, we are going to discuss briefly about the decentralization of powers. Thank you. Hari Om.